Hey everyone, it's Bethany. In this video, I was actually going through my craft room and I found a lot of blanks that have been kind of lingering and sitting around, and I thought it would be nice to just grab a few and get crafty with them. So I'm going to share some fun vinyl crafts today. I also have one iron-on craft, and I thought it would be fun to simply go back to the basics and just have some fun doing some simple Cricut crafts. So for this little first craft that I'm doing, I have these really nice little wooden blanks. I actually got these at Michael's and they're really nice. I believe they're 5 by 5. Let me double check. Yep, 5 inches by 5 inches. They come in this nice natural wood, but I did apply 2 layers of my favorite chalk paint to the top, and I thought that this would be a really fun little piece of decor. Now I do like to keep my edges bare just because I think it adds a little bit of dimension to them, and I just like that final look in my piece. So do what you would like to do in terms of painting. If you'd like to leave it a natural wood or stain it, you could do that as well. I also found a really cute SVG that I've had saved for a while in hopes that I would make a little fun piece of decor for my craft room, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for this first craft. So I'm just going to go through and grab all of my little middle pieces really quickly, at least on this top little part. And of course I'm using my favorite pink color. I just love a nice pink. And of course you can choose any color that you wish, or you could do multiple colors. I'm kind of more simple. I like to kind of keep it pretty neutral. So I'm just going to go with one color for this, just because when you're creating things for your own space in your own home, you definitely want to just go with what your whole style is. That way you know you're going to like your final look. Okay, I'll go ahead and get the rest of those middles in just a moment, but let's reveal this really pretty design. I saw this and I thought this would be adorable in my craft space, and maybe you'll agree as well, and maybe this will encourage you to do something fun in terms of decor for your own little craft space. So this says, "Welcome to my craft room," and down at the bottom is going to be a really cute little cutting machine, and I just thought it was so sweet. So I thought it would be really fun to revamp the question of the day. Now, we did this a long time ago on my channel, and I don't know why I stopped doing it. I don't know if it was just kind of forgotten or what, but I remember having so much fun doing it. So I thought we would have fun revamping the question of the day. And for this question, I want to know what the first thing you ever crafted was. It doesn't have to be with a Cricut machine. It could be anything. It could be something that was a long time ago. It could be something that you did yesterday if you're a brand new crafter and you're just catching this video for some inspiration. But let me know, kind of take a trip down memory lane and let me know what the first craft you ever made was. Now, this doesn't have to be something from kindergarten, but maybe something that you went shopping for and had a goal of creating in mind, or maybe what springs to mind when you think of crafting. What did you create that maybe had you falling in love with crafting? So take that question in any way that you want, but just share us a funny story down in the comment section about your crafting story and what you made and what encouraged you to really take on this fun hobby. Okay, I'm gonna grab some transfer tape. Isn't that really sweet? I think that is so fun. And I'm going to go ahead and get it prepped so it is ready to place on this really pretty wooden block. Okay, I'm gonna grab my little magnets here, and I will just lay this a little flatter while I get my transfer tape out. Here we go. And I'm just going to lay this down little by little. That way I cover it just right. Okay. There we go. Easy peasy. I'm going to grab my scraper, just burnish down. And then I'm going to turn this over and just repeat that burnish on the back. And if you're brand new to crafting or my channel, I just do this to add a little bit more pressure because it helps when I do the next step of removing the cutting liner and leaving the rest of the design on the transfer tape. So it's just one thing that I learned early on that has made this step so much easier. Okay, there we go. And let's bring this little guy back in and get this centered. Isn't that sweet? I think that's just darling. And that looks good to me. So I'm gonna lay that down, press it down. And I can't wait to have this in my little craft space. I think that is so fun. I love having little art. And it will just match the feel of my craft room perfectly. If you haven't seen my craft room tour from this year, I'll place a link up in the corner. That way you can catch up and take a peek of where I am crafting. Okay, there we go. How fun. So I have a little piece of decor for my craft room, but I also was able to use a little blank that I have had in my craft space. Sometimes I buy things in bulk because of a good price or because I know things like this are little items that I grab for time and time again when I want to get creative. Things like this are really nice for seasonal decor because they're nice and small and you can just personalize them for the season that you're in. But from time to time I find that I've stocked up quite a few and I'm really ready to get crafty with them. I'm actually going to do another little piece of art with this same blank a little later on in this video, but for the first craft, I think this turned out super cute and I can't wait to decorate this in my little space. The next little thing that I want to do is I am going to monogram the front of this really fun little notebook. I've had this in my craft space for a while. I love little notebooks like this because as a content creator and a crafter, I find that the lists that I make are endless. I go through notebooks like crazy. So I wanted to get this all decorated. I thought this was really pretty. I originally was going to do a navy because I really like a pale pink with a navy. I think it's just a really fun look. But then I was taking a peek at the back of this and I really loved that little gold trim. So I found a piece of little gold glitter iron-on and I thought this would be fun. Now, you absolutely could use regular adhesive vinyl, but I didn't have the colors that I wanted. And when I saw this really pretty glitter iron-on, it was just a easy decision. Also, out of just general rule, I do not craft with glitter adhesive vinyl. I absolutely dislike it so much. I don't say that about a lot of things, but I find that glitter adhesive vinyl is extremely difficult to work with no matter what tips and tricks you offer me. It's just a stinker. So whenever I want to do something more glittery or with a glitter nature to it, I always opt for iron-on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And yes, you can actually place iron-on a notebook. So this is just a cardstock little cover here, more of a paper surface. So it's easy peasy. All I'm going to do is I am going to look up the Cricut heat guide and I'm going to just swipe over to the press that I'm using, which is the Cricut Easy Press Mini. I am going to use a glitter iron-on and then I'm going to do a base of cardstock. So you are going to select what iron-on material you're using as well as what you are placing it on. And then of course up here I selected the heat device that I'm using. Click apply and then you're given your heat instructions. So we're going to do low, which is just one little wavy mark for 25 seconds with constant movement and firm pressure. And then of course it says cool to touch is when we will want to remove that liner. All right, let's go ahead and get started by simply preheating our little Easy Press Mini, which is super easy. Again, it said low, which is one wavy mark. So I'm just going to place it on low, just like that. Right now it's orange, but it will chime and turn green once it's ready. And in the meantime, I am going to set this to the side and just weed out my little design. Now, I'll place font information down below. I just made my little font in Cricut Design Space manually by just sizing my letters appropriately. Okay, there we go. And Here we are. Now, as a reminder, you'll want to mirror your image before cutting if you are using iron-on. So I did so that once I turn my image over, it is the right direction. Okay, let me grab my heat press mat, and then we'll go ahead and get this pressed on to the notebook. Okay, just in time because it chimed and turned green, indicating that we have reached the desired temperature. And then what I'm going to do is simply open up this notebook. You really probably don't have to, but I'm gonna have it as close to my heat mat as possible. And then I'm gonna grab a piece of butcher paper to place on top just to protect the surface. And I'm just grabbing a little scrap of butcher paper here. I'm going to focus on just the area where I'm going to place the monogram, which is in this middle upper area, and preheat the area for 5 seconds. Okay, now unlike other heat presses, this little mini is intended to move around during the heating process, so that's why you'll see me do that. Then let's grab my monogram. Now, because there's lines on the notebook, that makes it super simple to line up and to straighten. Okay, there we go. And make sure when I close that is still, I'm gonna bring that up just a little bit, that is still nice and centered. Okay, I like that. I think that looks really nice. Okay, I'm gonna open this up, place my butcher paper right back on, and then it's set to do 25 seconds with constant movement and firm pressure. So I just count in my head. Every once in a while I'll lose count because I'm thinking about other things, but do my best to get as close to 25 seconds as I can. Now, this is a great reminder that you always want to monitor your project in front of you. It may take additional heat, it may take less heat than what the guide is telling you. So you always just want to double check. Always just check your project right in front of you. Monitor it at all times, because there are times when I don't need the full amount of time and I know that it's sticking down. Okay, again, that constant movement. Here we go. And that's probably about good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close the notebook, remove my heat mat, and I'm going to place it on my very, very cold glass mat here. That will help draw out that heat quicker. And I do this when I just want to keep the craft moving so that I can move on to doing something else. But you can absolutely just patiently wait for it to cool down. All right, I'm going to grab and peel. Now I'm going to monitor all of the edges to make sure everything is laying down, because if for some reason, in fact, I think, yes, if you can note, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little piece right there. So, oh, and right there. So what I'm going to do, everything else looked great. So I'm going to lay this back right over the top, open this back up. And it was right here and right here. And the best thing about having a mini press is that you can do a focus press. So you don't have to reheat the entire project. You can just focus on the area that needs a little bit of additional heat, which is really, really handy. In fact, I like having this little heat press available even when doing larger projects, because while I like to use my larger heat press to do my pressing, if for some reason I'm having a little tiny area and I don't want to reheat the entire project, then I can just grab my little mini. Okay, again, removing the mat, and the mat, the polka dot mat that I just removed, that retains a lot of heat. So if you're wanting your project to cool down quicker, you definitely want to remove it from that mat, because the job of the mat is to take the heat that is coming off of the press, and it's going to bring that heat right back up into your project. That way it heats really, really nice and evenly. So because it's doing its job, it stays pretty warm. So you want to remove your project from there. Oh, perfect. That way your project cools down. Okay, there we go. Isn't that sweet? I love how that turned out. It's so simple. And again, it's using iron-on. Now, of course, you can use adhesive vinyl as well, but I think that that turned out super, super pretty, and I love the look of it. And even though you're not going to see the front and the back at the same time, there's something about having it coordinate that just really makes me happy. All right, there is our second little craft and a notebook that I have had for a long time just sitting around that I'm finally going to be able to use. Another little fun craft that I want to do is I want to finally use this frame. Now, I buy these quite often at Hobby Lobby. They are really nice and they come in this nice bare wood look to them, and they're just really beautiful because I love the shape of them. It's a nice 4x6 opening, but also I really love that it gives you this really nice intentional space to craft with. Now, I have done this particular craft a few times on my channel, and I've always added a really nice saying and cut it out of adhesive vinyl to apply. But this time I thought it would be very nice to use some nice little wooden letters that I have had. I've had a little baggie of these letters for so long, and you know when you have a little bag of letters and you're kind of at the end of it and you can't really spell much at the end, right? You're kind of scrambling for anything that you could spell. In fact, I didn't have an L because I'm going to spell family, so I ended up kind of making an L out of a T, which is it a perfect L? No, but it's going to be perfect for this little project. Plus, it's like Scrabble at the end, right? There's just, I mean, there's a Q and an S and maybe a W, and you're just done. So I thought it would be super fun. I can't believe I even found what I was looking for. And ironically, I was able to spell out family with a little edit here. So I thought this would be really pretty. You could absolutely paint these little wooden letters, but I love the look of a nice neutral white with a really pretty neutral wood. So I think this will be really, really nice. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to get an idea for where I want these cute little letters to go, and I think that visually looks really, really nice. Of course, you can spell anything that you'd like, but I think that looks pretty good to me. What I like to do is I like to start in the middle, so I'm going to start with the M. I'm taking some hot glue. You can use an adhesive of your choice, but I really like hot glue for wood projects like this. And I'm going to just apply surrounding the back of our nice little letter, and I'm going to place the first one down. Okay, just like that. Give it a moment to really set. Okay, then what I do is I go both to the left and the right using that first letter. In this case it was an M, just to kind of guide the placement of the other ones. And now your second letter that you lay down, letter, not leather, I'm a little tongue-tied this evening, but your second letter is going to kind of set the tone for your spacing. So there we go. I think that's going to look really nice. So I'm going to continue placing my little letters down. And you know what would be fun? I'm not going to do it on mine, but I like to offer ways that you can extend your project, but it would be really fun to do like a little sub lettering underneath, maybe cut out some smaller lettering in adhesive vinyl, and you could say something like since 2010 or something like that. That would be really fun, plus it would offer a fun little contrast down at the bottom. So that's another way that you could take this just a step further, and that'd be really neat because it would offer a variety of little fonts and textures, because you could personalize just about any font you wish when you are customizing it in Design Space. Okay, I'm gonna move that over just a hair. Okay, I think that looks really good. Press that down, get my little pieces off. Okay, now I'm gonna finish up by doing, doing a little flippy flip there, but I'm gonna finish it up by adding the last of my glue and letters. Okay, this would make a really fun gift, especially when you're personalizing it for the person you're giving it to. So of course mine says family, but you could absolutely have it say whatever you wish. This would be a fun teacher gift at the end of the year, which we are We are nearing the end of the year. It feels like we just began the school year, but I'm already thinking of end of the year teacher gifts and fun cards that I want to make. So definitely stay tuned for those fun ideas that I hope to bring soon. Okay, how does that look? That looks pretty good to me. I really like that. Now I need to mend this little area. There's just a little crack in the frame there. I don't even know that it goes all the way through. It looks like it's just where these two pieces met, but I'll be able to fix that quite easily after this video. So there is a fun little idea of how you can use blanks that you already have, but also how you can use those fun little letters, because I'm sure it's a relatable moment that when you get to the end of the bag, I mean, you're really just playing a fun little game of Scrabble with yourself and just trying to get any and every word that you can, just so that you can feel better about using most of that little bag of alphabet letters that you get. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the fourth craft. I think we're going to do a shirt. I have a really fun little design that I want to put on a shirt, and I've had a shirt probably for at least a year in my craft space that has just been waiting to get decorated and move on from my craft space to my closet. Okay, so I have this really pretty kind of heather blue top that's really nice, and it's one of those really wide-necked shirts, which are really fun. I like that a lot. So I'm going to use this pretty shirt to do a fun little piece of, well, a fun little design that I found that I've been really wanting to create a shirt with. So I am going to grab the corner of my iron-on. Again, we're using a heat transfer vinyl or iron-on. Those terms are used interchangeably, but once again, when you're using this material, you'll want to mirror your image in Cricut Design Space before you cut. That way, your image cuts in the correct direction, and all of your letters are going the right way once you put your project together. Now, if you are new to iron-on and creating t-shirts, I will place a link to a video where I really slow down and show you the entire process from designing and sizing your little design that you want to use. And I'll also show how to set it up and get it mirrored, but also cut it out on your machine. So I definitely have a lot of videos where I really slow down and do each and every step. Okay, so don't forget about the question of the day. I love reading about everyone's crafting journey, and most importantly, first crafts or crafts that you began with and that just made you completely fall in love with crafting in general. I love hearing those stories. Okay, so let me move that as well. This is so cute. If you can read backwards, you know it says raising little people, which I think is just so fun. There's also a phrase called raising tiny humans, which I really love too, but I thought this would be just a cute little top, and I've definitely wanted one. So I found this design. I'll be sure to link it down below in case you fall in love with it too, and then you can recreate this look yourself. You can also, the best thing about designs is that you don't have to make this into a t-shirt. If you like this design, you could put this on a little tote bag, or you could put it on a coffee mug. Things like that are super fun as well. In fact, we're going to do a fun little tumbler next, so it'll be some more inspiration for how you can get crafty with vinyl. Okay, so that is the beautiful, I love this beautiful design. In fact, one more spot right here, the little middle to the E. I think it's probably teeny tiny in there. Well, believe it or not, I don't think it is. Huh. Okay, well, I guess that's it. I thought there'd maybe be a little middle to that E, but there isn't. Okay, so I did that right the first time. So now what I'm going to do is take my shirt right over to my heat press, and I'm going to pre-press my shirt. Now what that's going to do is it'll remove any wrinkles if you find that you have any, but it will also remove any moisture that could be within the shirt, because you want it to be completely dry before you lay your iron-on down. And then once I have pre-pressed, I'm going to also lint roll the front of my shirt just to make sure there isn't anything on the surface that will prevent my iron-on design from laying down really nicely. After that, I'm going to place my design where I would like it and then press it onto the shirt. All right, let's go ahead and get this done now. As a reminder too, this is a good time to remind you, you can see that there is a little piece of iron-on right here. Now you want to take a moment to look at your entire design and make sure you don't have any little pieces. See that tiny little piece? You don't want any little pieces still on your sheet, because if so, it could transfer over to your final shirt. And if you have iron-on in a spot that you don't want iron-on, then it's kind of a stinker. Okay, let me grab this last little piece. I don't even think this piece is iron-on, but I don't want anything on there. All right, we should be all ready to go. Okay, so now, just like I did earlier when we were doing the little notebook, I'm going to simply place my design on a cooler surface, and that will allow the heat to just draw out. And as you kind of place your hands on here, now be careful because initially it's very, very hot, but you can just literally feel the heat just coming out of the project. So once it's cooled, which it doesn't take long once you place it on a cool surface, then you can gently remove that liner. And as always, just monitor all of your edges to make sure that everything has laid down, because if not, you'll want to take this little piece, I think that laid down, yep. You'll want to take this piece and place it right back over and give it some additional heat. I think it did. I might apply maybe 10 more seconds because I think there was one little spot. So I'm going to place my liner right back over this, okay, and I'll apply just 5 to 10 more seconds and then we'll be all done. Okay, I did 10 additional seconds. And another reason why it's sometimes nice to add some additional heat is because when you peel this up for the first time, that initial peel can kind of feel like you're tugging on it, which can create a little bit of pulling on the iron-on. So if you do it a second time, the second peel is so gentle because you're not having to tug as much, and it just ends up being a little bit more successful. Okay, so there is the cute little design. Again, this is one of those kind of shruggy shirts, so it's really nice. It has a really nice wide neck. It's super, super fun to have a little tank top underneath. And I love how this turned out. I think this is a really pretty color, plus the contrast of that nice white, and I love that little phrase with those fonts. Of course, I don't have font information because this is a pre-made SVG, but I do have the SVG linked down below in case you fall in love with it and want to purchase it for yourself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab the next little craft. We'll do a tumbler, and then we will finish off this fun little video with another piece of fun decor. Okay, I am going to do a fun little design on this tumbler. I love this little skinny tumbler we have here. And I'm bringing in my little cup cradle because it just is so handy to help steady my cup, because without it, I have a little rolling situation. You also could use a little scraper and just set it right on there if you have a scraper that has a little indentation like that. Before I had my cup cradle, I also would use my little Cricut scrapers and kind of angle them together just to kind of help steady it as well. So there's a lot of little cheats that you can do, but because I do stuff like this quite often, I happily invested in a cup cradle, and it's been really nice because you can also use it for other things like ornaments during the holidays, things like that. It's very helpful when steadying a variety of things. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tumbler here, and I'm going to just move it this way and take my rubbing alcohol. I just have it in a little spray bottle here, and I'm just going to apply some rubbing alcohol to the area that I am going to place my vinyl on. Now, this just helps clean the surface. It helps remove any oils that may be on the surface from hands, or it also can remove dust, anything that could be there. And those things are things that will, you know, the vinyl will stick down to it, but it might not last as long. So you just want to make sure you have a nice clean surface so that you have a successful little vinyl project. Now, you do still want to, on drinkware, you want to avoid the microwave. Of course you would anyway with something like this, but if you were making a coffee mug or some type of glassware, you would want to make sure you avoid the microwave, but you also, in terms of washing, want to avoid the dishwasher, and it's preferred that you hand wash, and that will just help the longevity of the vinyl as well. So I'll link the font information down below for the font that I decided to use here. I thought it'd be really cute to spell out Mama and place it right on this cute little tumbler. Now I'm going to use this transfer tape that I used during the first part of this video. And as you can see, a little bit has gotten off of our transfer tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this part to size, and I'm going to just grab an additional little square here. And as long as you overlap your transfer tape, then it will all connect. So then you have one nice big piece. So that's a way to make your transfer tape last a little bit longer and reuse it, especially if you don't have one right to size. You can just make it so. All right, let's burnish top and bottom just like last time. And let's see. Turn this over and peel away our little cutting liner. Okay. Now I will just center that where I'd like it on the tumbler. Right about there looks nice. And I like to just smooth it down with my fingers when working on a curved surface like this. And then I press down with the scraper. Okay. All right, now you can take your little weeding tool to gently grab a little corner of your transfer tape. Just be gentle so that you're not scratching your project. But then I'll just peel away that liner. And easy peasy, a cute little tumbler. Now, as you noticed, this was our original little cutting sheet. This did not take very much vinyl, so make sure you're shopping your little scrap bin. That way you can use all of your little small pieces that you cut off of larger projects. But how cute is that? So fun, and it'll look really, really nice with a colorful little lemonade or anything like that. So very fun, very easy, a great way to use your scrap vinyl, and a great way to utilize fun little blanks that you may have laying around in your craft space. Lastly, and as promised, I am going to do another little piece of decor using the same little blank that, again, I purchased at Michael's in the 5x5 size. I love these. Once again, I did apply, I think on this one, a single layer of chalk paint because I wanted more of a little whitewashed look for the tone of this particular project. But what I'm going to do is I've also had these little beads in my craft space for a couple years now, and it's always nice to have beads on hand, right? But I just wanted to do something fun with them, and the little pastel nature of them is very much up our home decor alley. So I thought it'd be really fun to make a fun little piece of decor for one of my little girls. So I'm gonna have that all ready to go, but what I want to do first is I have a little piece of scrap vinyl that I created a little Be Happy text on, and I cut it all out, and again linking font information down below. But I thought this was super, super cute. There we go. How fun is that? Okay, let me grab all the little middle pieces. Now, when you're doing this, you can put your little middle pieces off to the side, just like that. Just have them stick. And then, once you have everything all weeded and stacked up over in that corner, you can simply take a little piece of scissors, take some scissors, and just trim that off. Okay, then you have your little design. All right, now I'm going to reuse that transfer tape that I used for my first sign and also for my tumbler. Place that right over the top here. I don't know that I'm going to need this little last piece, so I can just pull that off. And then grabbing my scraper tool, I'll do the same thing that you saw me do twice before. Use my little weeding tool there. Okay, and there we go. All right, now let's simplify a little bit here, because that's always just nice when working in a simpler little area. It kind of helps me focus a little bit more on my project. How about you? Okay. Now, here's our little design. I really wanted a nice, soft gray because I think it would pair very nicely with the pastel buttons. I think that looks good. Okay, place that down. Burnish a little bit more with some pressure there and peel up. Oh, I'm really happy with that. That's really cute. Okay, now is where the buttons come in. And I thought it would be really fun to do a little rainbow. And let's see, I'm going to use the top of my little canister as just a little tray, if you will. And I'm just going to kind of organically get a little layout here. Something like this. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Crafting is just, it's just fun. You gotta keep it fun. Okay, I think though, I'm gonna need to add just one more button somewhere here. So if I bring these over, where is my, if I even bring a little weeding tool in, just to nudge these over. Then I can stick one more up there, and I think my arch is actually pretty even, or even enough. Okay, let's see. Can I just stick one right in here? I think I can. I think that looks good. Okay, so I like that. That's really cute. Okay, now I wonder if I could even, I have those little picker upper tools that I use for card making. I wonder if I could use that. Ah, I can. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some hot glue once more. Whoop. Try not to do too much there. And then I can use my little embellishment wand. I think these are actually made for like doing nails, you know, like a nail tech. But we use them quite often in the craft world, and here is another fun little use for it. Okay. Now, the secret is if I can get everything all lined up nice. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this. And then we'll work on that next layer. Okay, so I'm finding that it's easiest to kind of pull 3 or 4 away, do a little line of glue, kind of taking the shape of our arch, and then really quickly grabbing those beads, or I'm sorry, I'm used to working with like sequins and things here, so my mind's going there, but grabbing our little buttons and placing them on. Okay, I think this is going to be super cute. Okay, I'm gonna do the last little 3. Okay, there we go. And I think my arch stayed pretty well. I think that's cute. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is grab my next color, which is going to be this yellow, which I really love that it's a different size. It's going to make it look really fun. So I'll bring my next little button here, Okay, and just like that. Is that fun? I think that's super fun. I might actually tilt that just a little bit that way. Super cute. Okay, now I'm going to set this first one down just like so. That way I know everything's going to line up. And then what I'm going to do is get them all prepped and ready over here. But since I already can follow just the shape of my first color, we already have set the tone for the shape here. Now, in fact, I can probably use my fingers here. Now I can just place those right in there. Follow the shape. Easy peasy. So your first color is going to be, I don't want to say tricky, but the most, it'll take the most thought. Let's say it like that. Not tricky, but take your time with that first color because you're setting the shape for the rest of the project. Okay, and finally, the final two. 1, 2. So cute. Okay, now let's see. I wanted to do this kind of teal. So this will be kind of like our green. Did I want to do this or did I want to do the blue? Both offer a really fun look. I feel like this looks a little more nursery and this looks a little bit more like girly girl. I mean, I know colors aren't supposed to be, I don't know, but to me, that's what they look like. Okay, now if there's a way that I can, I think I can sneak in 2 here, that would be ideal. Oh, what if I did that? I think that's great. Okay, so it doesn't have to be completely even on there. Again, that's the nature of crafting. I actually really like that because I think without it, I don't know that I like that. But adding that last one, an additional button in, I think that looks really nice. Okay, so that's where I'm going to take it. You could also kind of, I wonder if we could layer with this kind of powder blue and give it kind of a cloud look. Nah, I don't think so. Less is more. If you've been around my channel since it started, I've built my whole channel on the less is more kind of feel. So we're gonna just keep going with that. All right, I'm gonna bring this down. Whoops, that one came right off. Let me peel that up. We'll just start over. I want to set the tone a little bit more for that spacing. Okay. There, I think that's good. Okay, now that looks nice. So I'm just going to take a moment to make sure they're all the correct side up. That way, once I go to grab them, there's no overcomplicating it. Okay, here's my final little bead. How cute did that turn out? Or button. I keep saying beads. I don't often work with buttons, so it's just not a natural thing for me to say, although I certainly have a fair collection of them. Okay, I think that's so cute. I love the tones. Again, you could take it a step further with these fun little pastel blue ones and do kind of a, I don't know, I think it's too much for me personally, and I think it might be kind of encroaching upon the little wording down here, and I really like that. I have a little one whose colors in their little room are just like this color palette, so that is going to fit in perfectly. Okay, I hope this was a fun video for you to enjoy watching. I hope this has inspired you to not only just kind of go back to fun, simple vinyl crafts, but also take a peek at some of the little things that you have laying around here and there. I did do a video earlier this year about fun little blanks that I really wanted out of my craft space, and it was a really fun video because it wasn't that I didn't love them, it's just that I had been kind of keeping a little collection of them, if you will, and every once in a while it's nice to just take inventory of all the little projects that you intended to do, get them done. It can be such a refreshing feeling, plus your craft space will be refreshed as well. Don't forget the question of the day. Be sure to pop down into the comment section and answer that. Can't wait to hear your fun little crafting stories. And as always, please be sure to give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this, and I can't wait to continue crafting with you in the next video.